city operations to order. Please note for the record that all committee members are present. If I could have a motion for the minutes of March 26th.
So moved.
Is the proper motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are now to the public comment portion. If you are a property owner on the agenda, we will get to your item on the agenda. But if you are a member of the public to comment on anything, which with the Kensington Road matter, you may want to comment as a member of the public. And if there's anyone else, if you could please come to the table, state your name, and we can give you some time to speak to the agenda item if you'd like to.
Oh, just tell me when.
Okay, the public comment is now. So,
So in 2024,
I'm sorry, can we just have your first and last name, please?
Paula Simon. I live at 2345 Kensington Road on the corner of Rockford. 2024, there was a pink postcard sent to my home and my other neighbors' homes too. And it was because we had issues with parking on both sides of Kensington. So the street is narrow, garbage was not being picked up, recyclable was not being picked up, and neighbors were being ugly to one another. So it was said that we could get parking on only one side of the road, and that hasn't happened yet. So I would like to request that if there's a vote regarding this street, that Paula is the neighborhood watch charge lady everybody calls about this woman in this car blowing a horn, okay? So if you could pass that, I would appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else here for public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on, and thank you for that. We are on to discussion and action items. We will begin with 5B, the resolution on a claim of appeal, claim number 2230 for Charles Haynes. This is regarding $550 in a trash fees at 817 Prospect Street. And you are Mr. Haynes, is that correct? Okay, first we are going to have a report out from the department, and then we will give you an opportunity to speak to this claim of appeal. Raleigh, do you have?
Sure. Our report out was simply what's included in your packet that was provided to the claim review committee. And so 817 Prospect, this property was cited for a trash violation on November 3rd of 2025 with a compliance due date of November 10th of 2025. The officer from our office returned on November 12th of 2025 and noted that the property was still out of compliance, meaning the trash hadn't been abated by the owner. The trash on our end is then was then submitted to our contractor for abatement. The contractor arrived on November 14th of 25, noted the trash was still there, which then gives them the authority to then abate it. And then the owner receives an invoice for the expense of that removal of trash, as well as our admin charge, which is a council approved fee.
It's my understanding that this amount was entered into the 2025 winter tax roll. Is that correct? Or
I don't have that information to know if it was transferred to tax or not.
okay. Okay. Mr. Haynes, would you like to comment on the claim of appeal?
Yeah, the relevant sheet, as far as I'm concerned, is the fifth one in. It's a white sheet dated March 19th. And what it is basically an apology to code compliance, to the city attorney, and to the council for having to take up your time with this. But, and a plea for mercy. Now, I know God is the only one we can normally expect mercy from, but sometimes he works through people. Our family is poor, and we've had a very hard year with the family dying of melanoma in September. And this is the first time I've ever been behind on my property taxes. And to give us a fighting chance of trying to catch up, and I'm going to get with there's a lady at the city that does payment plans. I'm going to get with her and try to work something out. But first, I've got to stop the mountain from getting higher. And so this is simply an apology and a plea for mercy that if you could knock this down to $100 or $200, it would make it a lot more doable for us to be able to pay our taxes.
Very quick question for legal. My understanding is that when we review these items, we're not able to segment out the different fees. Is that correct? I mean,
You mean the different portions of the amount owed? Not to my. Unless you believe that there's a justification for moving one portion of it or another. I don't.
committee members, any questions or comments or remarks? Councilman Cost?
So this went through claims review. Why was it denied there?
Say,
Sorry, sir. Just a moment.
The claim was reviewed by the claimants review committee. It was denied there because there, essentially there was adequate notice provided to the property owner. At the time that the abatement was done, there was, at least photos of indoor, home appliances outside that were removed. And there's a cost for the city to both remove those and, administer that, abatement process.
Okay.
I was unable to hear him because he was talking the other direction.
Yeah, he answered my question. I just needed to know why they denied the appeal that they got. And then in the Raleigh, I'm looking through this. Many of these pictures don't have dates.
They were scanned in.
In the packet,
At the
Yeah.
they're in the bottom right corner of each photo.
I believe that's correct.
It
I don't see any.
top left.
I'm looking in,
That's a print off date.
I'm looking in my packet. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, there's a couple that have dates, but
I think the
That's-
way it was scanned in may have cut.
This is very light.
Yeah.
Very difficult to see on that one.
no, this one's, yeah, 'cause some of these have a date, but it looks like the majority of this doesn't have dates.
The one of note would be the one with the appliances in the trailer. That would be the date of abatement, and the date on the bottom right-hand corner of that photo is 11/14.
There's a picture of a truck in here.
I see there's approximately.
And the only
Yeah.
things that you could see that they were hauling away was our washing machine, which was in working order,
So,
and a branch.
yeah, just one moment, sir. So it looks like the violation had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10, 11 things listed on there that were in violation. And the photos clearly show that there's trash in the backyard. The photos of the reinspection, however, show a small piece of cardboard and one appliance. Am I correct in seeing that when we went back to reinspect?
Yes,
Okay, so,
you don't have them go, because I think what he was trying to do, just based on the pictures, because I don't know, I've never been there, because of the fence.
sure.
So he didn't walk all the way around to take the other photo.
So I guess my question is, if this 80-year-old gentleman here cleaned up the majority of that garbage, do we not knock on doors and say, when are you gonna get rid of this washer?
We don't. Go out and do the reinspection. They haven't communicated to us either requesting an extension or an effort. We don't have any communication that confirms they did the cleanup. And so the $300 is the minimum charge that our trash contractor, whether it's one piece of trash or enough for that minimum yardage, that's the per contract approved amount.
Yep.
I can't confirm an earlier question. The invoice due has not been transferred to property tax.
Okay.
It is still due to code enforcement.
And then, on the trash authorization form, east side, which is one word, not two, it lists all of the original violations on here. And then at the bottom, it says warning in tiny print, warning comment, likely just washing machine is left, maybe a small box of trash. The fence is not an indicator of property line and the house next door is vacant and red tagged anyway. Do we typically, when we send that to Eric's or whoever we use, do we typically include all the things that are still not, that are gone?
On, or we would include what's still there based on our reinspection.
Okay, but none of that was there according to his warning comment. They literally listed wagon, grill, et cetera, tarp, clothing, barrel, all that was cleaned up. And then there's a warning comment at the very bottom of the authorization.
I know what warning comment you're talking about. We do not always do that. We're just trying to spell things out. If they're getting a work order that has all of these items on it, and just letting them know that all of those items may not still be there. Or item, we'll use that for items only in the backyard or things like that. So they don't just pull up to the house. Everything is cleaned up. They actually need to look in the backyard.
And do we know, so Eric's, in the photo, I see a refrigerator, so I assume that they went to a different spot too, because fridge didn't come from your backyard, correct?
No, there was no refrigerator ever.
Because the photo we have is a fridge. Do we know what they do with appliances? I assume they can't take them to Granger. They've got to scrap them and make money off.
Say I have.
That where they dispose is their choice. So what
We have a contract with Eric's. Have we signed an agreement with them? Or are we still doing month to month
we have a different trash contractor as of this month, yes.
with the contract?
With the contract, yes, in route, yeah.
I hope they took it to Habitat so somebody else could use it if we don't have it anymore.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. I'm looking through these documents. I'm seeing that this gentleman cleaned up most of this mess on his own and left a piece of cardboard, as the picture shows, and a washer. I'm not sure why the grill that's in the backyard was even on this list, because that is a normal thing in a normal backyard.
And the garden hose.
And it's got wheels on it.
Pile as well for typical wood burning.
Burn.
Yeah.
Correct. And so, I am very much a stickler of rules. Clearly, the backyard was trashed, but this gentleman made the effort. I think that we dropped the ball a couple times. I would be supportive of making a motion to approve or to grant his appeal.
It's interesting because Councilman Cost and I, we've served on a few committees together now, and a majority of the time, we both agree that when costs have been incurred by the city, right? Like the city did pay for this service and those dollars have been spent. However, this time I did question some of those things, not to that extent, but seeing only a few items that ultimately were taken away, there was an effort there. And so with is that your motion then? The motion to grant?
Yeah, I mean, and as you know, we've served on this committee long enough to see that we rarely see an effort made.
Right,
to
yeah.
do this, and it looks like he almost got it to the finish line except for two things. So yes, that would be my motion, unless you perhaps would feel more comfortable something different.
No,
I just have two questions. One, what happens if we do accept the appeal? What happens to the $550 that are
The
owed?
city would eat it.
Two,
They,
if we did,
depending on the contract, Mr. Van Paulsen could speak to the contract, but Eric's refuse contract stated that if council granted an appeal, then Eric's refuse got billed for that to pay the city back for that portion.
two, is there an option for a payment plan through departments?
There's not, so a couple things. If the appeal is granted in terms of, then the city would eat this cost, because on our end, we wouldn't go back on Eric because we don't believe Eric made a mistake. Regardless of whether it was one piece of trash or not, Eric picked it up and is allowed per his contract to charge that minimum fee. The washer is an item that's not allowed, and he could pick that up in the cardboard. I appreciate the effort. If in fact true, other items were cleaned up, but the entire amount was not. So we wouldn't have recourse on our end to ask Eric to eat that cost of the department. that.
If
terms of
true,
your other
it's clear,
question.
sir, that it's true. It is clear, you have the pictures correct, that this gentleman did clean up this mess.
Sure, but not all of it. And our visual enforcement requires it all to be abated unless an extension is requested of the office, which we grant extensions all of the time if there's that line of communication. So in this case, we would eat the costs on that one because Eric followed the order as required by his contract. Can you remind me of your other question?
Is there payment plan options or departments?
I don't have the administrative power at the department to issue a payment plan, but when it gets transferred to Treasury, the Treasury office, if not certainly the county treasurer, if it goes unpaid on the property checks, they have the power through their offices to do payment plans as it relates to property taxes. So
I think the committee, it sounds like is supportive of granting the appeal.
Right, so we do have a motion on the table to grant the claim of appeal, so we will act on that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Sir, your appeal has been granted.
Thank you for your time and attention.
Yeah, and so council will vote on this matter. The full council will vote on this on April 20th. The committee has granted, but then full council will be voting on this on April 20th at our meeting at 7 p.m. Okay, so this isn't the final step. There is another step where full council will see all of this information. The committee will have the opportunity to give comments, report out to the full council members. And if a majority of council members agree, then that would be, that next step. Okay,
We did have to borrow $400 for a dumpster.
I did read that in your letter.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next item, we are on 5C, the resolution on a claim of appeal. Is it Naja Nona? I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
You're correct.
Okay, feel free to join us at the table. And this is claim number 2225, $345 in grass fees at 2215 Greencroft Road. Director Van Fossen?
sure. This property was cited for a grass violation on October 6th of 2025 with a compliance due date of October 14th of 2025. The officer on our end returned on October 15th of 2025. The property remained out of compliance. Grass was then submitted to our contractor for abatement. The contractor arrived on October 16th, 2025, noted the grass was still in violation. Contractor then abated by cutting the grass, and then an invoice was generated and sent to the property owner. Our grass ordinance requires the grass to be 8 inches or lower.
I do see we have photos as well, along with the documents. Sir, if you'd like to speak to
Yeah.
appeal?
The first thing, and when I didn't receive the letter from the notice, this is one. Number two, when I received the bill, and I did talk to the tenant about what happened, and they says the grass wasn't that high enough. But when they sent me the photo and I looked on it, there is nothing you could tell. It was like, how high is it? So just now I see it from her computer and I can see something like a red something wasn't sticking at the grass. But to me, I don't know. It's hard to me to read how high is it from the that is orange thing. I don't know what it is. Pink, orange, something in that. It's hard for me to know how high is it and what's the measurement. I don't know. So that's hard to me to see and read it. How many inches? I know. I believe it's 8 inches, right?
8 inches,
Yeah.
Oh. Director Van Fossen, can you validate when your folks go out there to assess the height of the grass? My assumption is that they're measuring, but can you validate that or maybe explain a little bit about how they go about?
We do measure, so they're able to do a visual assessment during the initial notice, and then during our re-inspection, if it's believed to still be out of compliance, we do measure at that time in order to submit it to our trash contract. Or, our grass contractor.
Yeah, it looks as though, the timelines were appropriately followed from what, my understanding is of the timelines of the initial inspection and re-inspection.
Yeah, I have the digital thing now.
Yeah, I had the original.
Technology. Sorry, I'm playing catch up.
Nope. Any questions from committee members or?
I don't have any questions.
No, it's unfortunate, but I mean, even looking at the pictures here,
Yeah,
it's clear that it's much too tall. Has not been taken care of.
Yeah, the photos were pretty clear and the timeline for assessing the height of the grass is, the time frame that's set out in order to conduct this work. So is there any further discussion and or a motion on this resolution?
I would move to deny the appeal.
Okay, we have a motion to deny the appeal. All those in favor say aye.
I
Okay, sir, this matter as well will be before council on April 20th. If you'd like to appear and speak at that time, you are certainly able to. And just as we explained with the previous gentleman, we will have a report out from this committee. There will be some discussion and join us on the 20th.
Okay, thank you.
Got a hint.
Okay, our next item is a resolution, item 5C, a claim of appeal of Jeremiah Hepner, $840 and rental registration violation fees at 800 West Ionia Street. Do we have Mr. Hepner here?
She did make communication with everyone.
Right, okay. Property owner is not here. Director Van Fossen, if you'd like to give a little background on this item.
Sure. I will read the code officer notes from your packet. The owner purchased the property in September. There's an edit there. It's actually September 23 of 2023 is when the property is purchased. Property is purchased with the intent to use it as a rental. The new owner must put the current rental certificate if in their name, if applicable, or register the property as a rental within 15 days of the sale closing date. The owner did not do that. Moving forward, on April of 2024, we mailed a failure to register letter. Almost a year later, in February of 25, we mailed a failure to comply. And then on September of 25, letter and ultimately pink tagged the property due to no response from ownership. On September of 25, the owner was made, when the owner was made aware of the pink tag by the tenants, from our understanding, he called the office to see what was needed to remove said tag. The clerk advised he would need to come in and register property as a rental and the amount due, $475. He registered the property, paid the rental registration in that amount in September 23 of 2025. The remaining failure to comply, failure to register, and lack of certificate fees were then paid in October of 2025.
Okay, thank you. I think the information that was presented is fairly straightforward. The only thing that I did want to validate, which you have answered, is as I was reading this over, and the letter that was submitted by the property owner that he purchased it and somehow updated his address with the assessor's office, but not with your office. And my initial question was, I don't know that this was registered as a rental after he purchased the property. And if it wasn't, I, completely understand all of the charges and fees that were assessed.
It may have been previously a rental, but when the property is sold in the state of Michigan, a property transfer affidavit is filed. The owner doesn't do that. The title company in closing does that. That goes to the local assessor. That does not mean all other functions of municipal government receive that update. Unfortunately, however you see that. On our end though, so we still require that landlords contact our office direct to update the rental registry. If they don't, we inevitably, when that cert comes up for renewal, mail these letters. So in this case, we mailed all of those. There's ample opportunity in any of those moments to contact us, update, and not be subject to all the additional fees that was ultimately charged. Fortunately, this went through the entire process, which ultimately gets it to a pink tag, which is why there are those additional fees.
Yep, okay. Any questions from committee members?
I mean, I looked through the packet and it's very clear that we let this person know that there was an issue. And I actually found the sale ad from this property when he bought it. All the units were occupied because I was thinking, well, maybe the unit was empty and no one got the mail.
I
Someone
had
was
that
getting the
same
mail.
question, like how
Yeah.
could this property owner be unaware if in fact folks were living there, receiving the mail? Was it
Exactly.
just they're
So-
not communicating with the property owner? But it was, I mean, he purchased in 2023 and we're in 2026.
In the sale ad, it said all units filled. And then I noticed that it was pink tagged. I assume it was pink tagged before 2025, Raleigh.
It was, I just closed out on those notes.
Was not.
Sorry.
I think it was pink tag at the end of the after, once it receives a LACA certificate is when the pink tag gets placed there.
So, I mean, yeah, it's clear. And I think at some point this person admits that in their statement that they did, in fact, know that they did wrong. So no issues. Thank you for documenting this so well.
I would like to move to deny the claim appeal.
Okay, we have a motion to deny the appeal. All those in favor, please say aye. Motion passes. And again, we will have this on our April 20th agenda, council agenda. Okay, moving on to item 5E, a resolution for special noise permit, Michigan Paving and Material Company, their request to allow for major reconstruction on Pennsylvania, Mount Hope and Jolly. Okay,
Service Department,
all right.
and
And-
also
Dave Gorkowitz, Michigan Paving.
Okay. All right, I know we've discussed this now a few times and the request is for Saturday work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, our paperwork does say April 1st, 2026. Of course, we are April 9th, so it just is the intent to begin Saturdays immediately after, if this is passed and goes through, how does that work?
right, so the intent isn't necessarily to work Saturdays, it's there if we need it.
If you need to.
Right, so obviously, as you pointed out, the first is passed, so it wouldn't necessarily make sense to leave that date. You could put the date in the future. I believe the council meeting where this will be fully voted on is the 20th, correct? So, if that date was changed to the 20th or, that Saturday after that, that would be applicable.
Remember correctly, we didn't have any opposition to this.
No, I don't recall receiving any letters in opposition. And I know there was a public meeting that was held as well. Very well attended public meeting.
And I think we're all in agreement. This part of Pennsylvania and Mount Hope desperately needs a facelift.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Okay, and would we need to amend that then
Yep.
to?
You'll need to amend the resolution before you adopt it.
I'd like to amend the resolution with the appropriate dates.
Okay, I believe that is a proper motion. If we could amend the resolution to begin April 25th. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have to move to adopt it.
Yes, because she made a motion.
Okay,
She went back.
okay.
To adopt
Move to adopt the resolution as
As
amended.
amended.
as
As
amended.
amended,
Thank you.
okay. All
Get
those
on
in
my
favor,
words.
please say aye.
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 Mason's got a gap, shaking it.
Mason's telling you. Okay, on to item
Tell the-
5,
It's kind of quiet.
5F, the resolution for a noise special permit through Granger Construction, and this has to do with the Cumsey River Road Pump Station for Saturday work, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Between April 11th, 26th to, and there's, if I could just point out, there may be a discrepancy in this resolution because it does list in the third paragraph from April, no, I'm sorry, just a moment.
Fourth paragraph.
Yeah. There's a date that says April I'm sorry, the very first paragraph, April 11th, 2026 through October 31st of 2026. And the third and fourth paragraphs list October 31st, 2027. So is the intent to allow for Saturday work through October 31st of 2026 or 2027?
The intent would be for 2027. I know that there had been some discussion previous years of making this renewal each year, or because we.
All right, can I get you to say
Oh,
your
sorry.
record just for those that are watching?
Okay, sorry. Brian Height, City of Lansing Public Work Service.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know there had been some discussion last year about projects that had gone to the waiver process, where we either had to renew it each year or for a multi-year project like this to try to have it encompass the entirety of the project. And this is similar to the previous request where this is mostly as an as-needed basis to stay on schedule.
So it should read April 26th through October 27th.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, and I believe this one is fairly straightforward. We spoke about this previously in the area that this is situated, and I haven't seen any opposition to this. So if we could have a motion to amend the resolution to the 2027 date.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And then a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Okay, all those in, yeah, I'm sorry, a motion to,
Approve the amended.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 5G, resolution for traffic control order number 24-57 to regulate parking along Kensington.
Thank you, Mitch Whistler, Public Service Department. We received a request via the city source to prohibit parking along one side of Kensington Road. Based on a parking request, typically we require a petition to be filled out to initiate the study per the ordinance. However, we had been in this area doing sign checks for CSO. So that we noticed the time limits that were still there prior to the closing of the McLaren Hospital. So we decided to initiate the study ourselves and review parking restrictions throughout the entire neighborhood. As a result, we gave two options to the residents. One was no change. The second was to prohibit parking on one side of the street only. Based on our results, we received 28% of the surveys that we sent out, so it was pretty low. And that 30% roughly is our normal standard that we get back when we survey residents. But anyway, because of the low response rate, I kind of held off on this one as well as the next one on the agenda item, just to see how the other ones that we had instituted played out first, if we had consternation from the residents. But anyway, based on the results of the study, the street width being roughly 25 feet, we're recommending the prohibition of parking on one side of the street, which I believe is the west side of the street.
Yeah, and it looks as though there was a very slight majority in favor of this change. And also we do have a public comment here in favor of the change. Any questions or discussion from committee members?
Those streets are pretty narrow.
They are narrow.
Really narrow.
It's a beautiful neighborhood and I get that you don't want parking on both sides. It does get tight in there and then your bins don't get picked up and yeah, people voted 4-3, 5-3.
We move to adopt the resolution.
Okay, we have a proper motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Moving on to item 5H, the resolution for traffic control order number 24-62 to regulate parking along Markleaf Place.
This one, similar scenario, same neighborhood, same issues, sent out a survey. Same result, survey fairly low response rate, about a 50-50 approval rate. So held on to this one as well. And now we're moving forward with a recommendation to prohibit parking on one side.
I would move to adopt the resolution if there's no discussion.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item, 5I, the resolution for traffic control order number 25-27, regulate parking along Cascade Boulevard.
Thank you. This one, Cascade Boulevard, this is the last in this area of when this area was developed as far as putting in a traffic control order for the parking regulations. The small little quadrant that's in red on the diagram. Took a while to get through and get signed off on as far as acceptance of. And based on the request from both business as well as our parking services, we're recommending installing a load zone as depicted in the diagram.
I actually happened to be at the restaurant that's there the other night, like literally 2 nights ago. And so I specifically looked at this area and absolutely a load zone is needed so badly there because the parking is already limited. And I think one of the struggles there is always going to be that 2-hour parking is all day parking.
Right.
And that's why you can't find spots. So it'd be great to have a loading zone though, because Bag of Nails, I'd love to eat there more and pick up takeout if I had somewhere to park other
Right.
than half-mile away.
Right. Okay, well, is
Move
there a
to
motion?
adopt the resolution.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are on to our last item, 5J, the resolution for traffic control order number 26-02, regulate parking along the 100 block of West Elm Street.
Thank you. This request came from the mayor's office, specifically to provide more parking for the Theo Town
Yes.
by establishing parking on the bridge.
Mhm.
We consulted with one of our structural consultants that we use, and they evaluated the bridge and said that it was built sufficient enough to be able to handle the dead loading of the parking vehicles. The width is plenty to be able to accommodate parking on both sides. Traffic volumes are much lower than what they used to be on that bridge. So the one lane in each direction could handle it. We are looking at prohibiting parking at the approaches on each side of the bridge to the other side streets to be able to allow for 2 lanes exiting onto Washington, and then also for the swing of the semi trucks as they're coming through off of Townsend. So we're recommending the inclusion of parking on Elm Street Bridge. We actually have already temporarily signed it as such.
Okay, and I'm familiar with the desire for additional parking in Rio Town. It is a busy area. I'm just curious, approximately how many vehicles could this additional parking accommodate? Do you have an idea?
I do not off the top of my head. I can get that for you if you would like. I haven't measured it out as far as the number of spaces.
It's probably 15 to 20 cars on each side.
That's
Pretty.
kind of what, I mean, it
Pretty
looks like
long
a
bridge.
good amount of space there. Okay, perfect. All
And
right.
Rio Town Commercial Association we just had a meeting and they brought this up. So they need more parking. I mean,
Yeah, their employees are scrambling
I know,
to
it's a
find
Hunger
a
Games
place to
down there.
park and get to work on time. And yeah, I certainly understand
You
that.
should see the way I had to park to get my hair cut.
With that, I would move to adopt the resolution.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. With no other business on the agenda, we are adjourned at 4:39 PM.
Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you all.
Take some snacks, anybody.
Big monkey, though, I can't.